Hot topic, assumable mortgages. People are wondering what's going on with assumable mortgages. You're seeing some of them out there, and they had a 2.5%, 3% mortgage, and that mortgage was assumable. So if they bought this house or refinanced in 2021, 22, early on in 22, they've had a 3% or less interest rate on their mortgage. So what you can do is you can assume this loan. The only negative to that is over time, values have gone up significantly, and these are FHA and VA only loans. So conventional, I have not seen one conventional yet that goes as assumable, but VA and FHA. FHA, you have PMI the whole time. Private mortgage insurance. So mostly like a $250,000 home, you're gonna have at least $100 a month. So make sure you factor that in. And then the other thing is you're gonna need a large down payment. We were just looking at one for a client the other day. They bought it for roughly $250,000. They purchased it 4 years ago, and they have a 3% interest rate. Well, now the house is 3.25, so it's $75,000 higher, and they need to have $75,000 to $80,000 at least down. So do you have $80,000, $90,000 a down payment? Will a family member lend that to you? Because a lot of these will not allow a second mortgage. Say if it's Wells Fargo, you have to be approved through Wells Fargo on this particular loan. A lot of time we're hearing 30 to 60 days for that approval process that, hey, you got accepted on the contract. Now you're moving to the next step. You have to be approved through this lender who they have the loan through, and assuming this mortgage was a 30 to 90 days. So say on average 30 to 60 days. So if it takes you 60 days to get approved, now you have roughly another 30 days to closing or so. It could be a little bit less, but you're talking a longer time period. So make sure you understand that and know that. The other thing is the PMI. Just make sure you factor that in, because if you were going to do conventional and then you have a slightly higher rate, but you don't have PMI, now you're taking PMI in, and that makes a difference in your payment. 3% interest rate versus 6 or 6.5 or 6.75%. And does that make it truly more affordable? Because make sure you're looking at a good faith worksheet that breaks down your closing costs, your out of pocket, and what your monthly payment would be. So that's your big things with this. We're not seeing a lot of them happen because people don't have that large down payment, especially if they're going with the FHA loan. VA, you can be a non-veteran and actually buy the VA, but now that seller that owns that mortgage, they have to agree that they do not need their VA eligibility. If they need their VA eligibility to go to the next property, you have to be a veteran to actually purchase that, or they lose that and it won't work out for them. There's not a PMI because that's all prepaid into the loan. So you don't have a separate PMI on that you factor in your monthly payment. Rates are much better. Maybe if they were at 100% financing, depending on when they bought it, you don't have quite as much that you're going to need as a down payment. FHA would be, when they're purchasing the property, at least 3.5% down. Sometimes, depending on credit, they have to put 10% down. Sometimes they're not as good a deal as you think it is, but just crunch the numbers. Have your lender go through, speak with your real estate agent, take a deeper dive on this. Let's run a rough analysis of what that would be with a lower rate and see if it makes sense. So just make sure the devil's in the details, right? Make sure you're double checking these things before you just jumped into, hey, I'm going to assume this 3% interest rate. That's fantastic. But what is all the other things that you're going through? And especially if you need to move fast. If you need to move fast, you're moving out of rental or you sold your other house, you don't have fast. You have probably 60 to 90 days for settlement. So just be aware of these things before you jump into it, and it takes you into a course that you're not expecting. So hopefully that was helpful. Subscribe below. Have a great day.